Nicole was a gorgeous 34-year-old single mom from the Dallas area. She made friends easily. Just ask her best friends, Mike Autry and Holly Wheeler.
What drew me to Nicole was just that she was always so big. I don't know how else to describe it. She was so big. She was very independent. I loved that most about her, I think. I just kind of always looked up to her in that aspect.
Over time, she became one of my closest friends, as I was hers.
Life dealt Nicole a tough hand. She was only 17 when she got pregnant with her son, Trey.
My mom was amazing. She played both the mom and the dad since she was a single parent.
A single parent who did what was necessary to survive. Dancing in clubs, working for a stockbroker. Nicole had just been accepted to nursing school. Finally, her future seemed bright, until the dark day she met Michael Adams.
What was your first impression?
Weird. He dyed his hair jet black, I guess just because he was going through a midlife crisis.
Adams was a repo man and quickly stole her heart.
Was your mom in love with him?
Yeah, she was. She always talked about how he treated her like no one else did, how he treated her on such a pedestal that she felt, like a queen. And she never denied the fact that he treated her really well.
What kind of nice things would he do for her?
Just small surprises, like a vase of flowers here and there. Small I love you notes, like sticky notes in her jacket, just the little things, really.
Adams seemed to be a real catch. Look at the red brick mini mansion he owned in the upscale Dallas suburb of Frisco. But Trey says there was one big problem.
He was incredibly OCD. I mean, nothing was out of place in his house. Everything was in a certain point and it never moved. He had a pool table upstairs and he literally never played on it since he bought it.
Adams was so obsessive, he even lined up the labels on his soda pop. When Nicole and Trey moved in, they quickly learned not to violate the one unbreakable rule: no sitting on the couch.
He had a couch. It was a crescent moon couch, about 3/4. He absolutely refused to sit on it and didn't want us sitting on it either, or else we would get it dirty.
So where did everyone sit?
He had one love seat on the outside of the couch and then just a regular chair on the other side.
The house was decorated like what you'd see in a glossy real estate brochure. But the closet could have been the cover story for a gun magazine. Right above his neatly pressed t-shirts sorted by color, handgun cases sorted by caliber.
Did things change in their relationship when you two moved in?
Definitely.
How?
I can specifically remember one night we had spaghetti.
Spaghetti, Nicole's favorite food. Trey says that night, Adams dished out grief with the ground beef.
I guess either myself or my mom had spilt a droplet of the sauce on his tile, and when I microwaved my bowl, the sauce had gotten everywhere. I didn't put a napkin over it.
The sauce spilled over the bowl in the
yeah,
microwave?
like popping, when it would overheat. That was about a week-long argument between them, because that's how OCD he was. They fought a lot. He would be yelling, swearing, saying, why didn't you clean it up? Why didn't you, be more careful, I guess. They fought about it for a long time.
They fought about the spaghetti sauce.
Mm-hmm.
One stain on the tile,
Yep.
and then a little sauce in the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
They fought about this for a week.
Yep, 7 days.
But as you're about to learn, spaghetti would be the string that would unravel their relationship in more ways than one. Trey says after less than 2 months, Nicole had enough and moved out. But then Adams asked her to marry him.
She was excited. She was all giddy. He came over in a black t-shirt, black pants, dressed out. They went out to dinner, and then she went back to his house, and that's where he did the proposal.
And so Nicole and Trey moved back to the big house in Frisco until the next fight. And Trey says this one was the mother of all fights.
He had very aggressively ripped off the ring from her ring finger. I want to say he fractured it. She had to go to the doctor's office and get a splint for it.
Is she done with him?
At this point, yeah, definitely.
So you move out for the second time, and the engagement is off.
Yes.
Trey says after they moved into an apartment, strange things were happening.
It started with a Chihuahua we had. Her name was Penelope. And we come home one day, and someone had left the front door open. We didn't call maintenance that day. We always locked the door. And Mike had a key. We suspected that he let her out. 2 days later, we actually found her. She got ran over. After that, I was in school, and I come home, and my mom came home before me, and she actually texted me when I was in school saying somebody had came in and poured bleach all over our clothes.
So what did your mom think?
I'm pretty sure she suspected Mike.
Then what happened?
She recalls looking out past the building because our cars parked around the corner, and she sees like a kind of a red glow. And so she goes and looks at it, and sure enough, it's our car that was lit on fire.
Did your mom think it was Mike?
She did.
Trey says his mom had no choice but to ask Adams for help buying a new car.
So Mike came to the rescue.
They co-signed on a car, and it was a nice car. It was brand new at the time. She had been driving it for a while, and she kept wanting to get the full lease from him, to have him take off his name.
Nicole went to Adams' house to have him sign over the car title and get her belongings. He whipped up spaghetti, a sort of peace offering. Nicole couldn't refuse a hot plate of pasta. Maybe she should have. Nicole Leger went to her ex-fiancé's house to pick up her stuff. It was lunchtime, so they ate spaghetti. But this was no typical marinara recipe. Cops say Michael Adams put a special ingredient in the sauce, a knockout drug.
Ate a few bites, and went to get my stuff, and the room started spinning.
That's Nicole's dramatic audio statement to Frisco, Texas police detective Scott Greer.
I feel it really hitting me, and then it just starts hitting me even faster and faster.
What Nicole says happened next will shock you.
Walks me into the bedroom and takes off all my clothes, and then pulls out a really large, and I'm saying no, but I can't do anything. I can't move my arms or my legs.
Nicole says Adams began to brutally assault her with a sex toy.
We've never used toys like that at all, and he bends me over and puts it in and starts taking a bunch of pictures, and I was out. I was passed out.
Have you ever taken pictures before, or?
Yeah, I was taking,
Okay.
but never not with that, and we've never played with any toys at all.
So what's the next thing that you remember?
Waking up being tied, my hands behind my back.
Hogtied with rope, her mouth gagged with duct tape.
Got a ton of duct tape. It's like all the way from here all the way up to here, just wrapped around me. The next thing I remember, I'm banging on his neighbor's door. I know he untied me.
Nicole managed to get away from her captor. She told police that she ran out of the house naked and screaming for help, but he caught her and dragged her back for yet more torture.
Nicole said Adams dragged her into the garage, but being the obsessive neat freak he was, Adams first threw her on top of a tarp, cuffed her hands, and zip-tied her ankles. Then he cut off her hair.
And he cut off all my hair too. My hair's a mess now. And he tried to pull it out, and then he just cut it out.
How would Nicole escape from the demon she once thought was her angel? She tried wiggling out of the restraints.
It took me a while I untied myself. I just kept playing with it, and finally it came undone.
But she couldn't slip out of the handcuffs. Nicole realized the only way out, the only way to save her life, was talking nice.
What were you saying nice to him?
Like, what are you planning on doing? I'm like, are you gonna kill me? He's like, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm like, you just need to calm down. You just overreacted. You know, we need to go to therapy. We can work through it all.
Nicole promised Adams she wouldn't press charges if he let her go, but there was no way she could keep that promise.
Did you want to file charges on him?
Absolutely. I want to bury him.
Okay.
Absolutely, I want to. He's gonna kill me. I fully believe he's gonna kill me. He cannot control his anger. How long is it gonna take for you guys to go get him?
Still got to dig through a few things.
Are you serious?
But, well,
You can't go pick him up right now?
We're working on it.
He's gonna end up killing me.
Cops quickly got a search warrant, and in Adams' spotless white Lexus, they found the evidence. The sex toy, the rope and zip ties, and duct tape with her hair all over it, and the spaghetti and the jar of sauce.
The poisoned spaghetti was still in the back of the car?
He had taken all the stuff from what he had done the day previous, and he was going to get rid of it. But he got arrested before he could do that.
Adams was busted, pleading not guilty to charges of sexual assault and aggravated kidnapping.
I'm going to give this to you, and if you will just swab it on both sides of your cheek, we'll put it in the box and then seal it up, and that'll be it.
This police video shows detectives taking a DNA swab from Adams. Despite the severity of the charges that could mean life in prison, Adams made bail. Nicole was petrified he would track her down and kill her, so they moved to another town in another county. It would be the last move they would ever make.
I can't move my arms because he starts taking my clothes off.
Nicole Leger was naked and scared to death.
He's gonna kill me.
Nicole was terrorized by her ex-fiancé, Michael Adams, a monster who put a knockout drug in her spaghetti sauce.
He told me later that he put something in the food. But he said it was regular over-the-counter sleeping pills, but there's no way that that could have done that. I mean, I was out. I was out for a long time.
Prosecutors say the attack was revenge for Nicole breaking up with Adams.
It makes you wonder if, well, he was going to kill her then, but decided not to.
Is that what you think?
Oh, absolutely.
That night, Nicole's son Trey says he got a text, presumably from his mom. It said she wasn't coming home and she was spending the night at a friend's house.
So did she actually write that text, or did he?
He did. Mike did.
So Mike pretends to be your mom and sends you a text telling you, oh, mom's not coming home. Don't worry, I'm at a friend's house.
Yeah.
Nicole wasn't at a friend's house. She was at a house of horrors and barely made it out alive.
Sickening is what it is.
Nicole's friend Holly Wheeler is emotional as she looks at the pictures of Nicole in the hospital for the first time. She was battered and bruised, her feet and ankles savagely cut from the sharp zip ties digging into her flesh.
Just horrified that somebody went through this. And it's horrible.
Holly says she gave Nicole advice on how to vanish from her violent ex-fiancé.
My last conversation with her was when she was asking for advice on how to kind of get away. She called me at my office and started to talk because I had been through kind of similar situation, you know, bad relationship, kind of crazy stalker, you know, beating kind of deal, and I had been through that, so I knew how to, I got away and kind of got off the radar for a little bit, and so she called to ask, you know, some advice on how to handle it.
Nicole was so afraid for her life that she moved here to Melissa, Texas with her teen son, and she rented a home and set up utilities under a friend's name because she was so afraid her ex would find her.
But Adams found her, an obvious violation of the court's protective order.
So now he's like the crazy man you cannot get away from.
Right.
So you guys thought you were free.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't true.
No.
Prosecutors say Adams, now charged with sexual assault and kidnapping, left a godfather-like message on the doorstep of her new house. A tarp and handcuffs, the same ones he used when he kidnapped her.
Was that a signal?
Well, the theory was that the defendant had put those things there as a threat to Nicole regarding what had happened in the past, and he did not want her to testify, so it was a threat.
It also said to them, I found you.
Exactly.
So how did Adams find Nicole? Remember, he was a repo man, an expert in finding cars. Cops say he secretly put a GPS device on Nicole's car and used his work computer to track her every move.
Was he obsessed with Nicole?
I would say that he was. He had, for example, a photograph of her framed on his bedstand of her topless. That's just so strange and so obsessive in my view, and offensive.
But then Nicole had become the love interest of another man, a man who swore to protect and serve. The detective you heard interviewing Nicole hours after the brutal sex assault, Scott Greer. Nicole sent Greer pictures more sizzling than a Texas parking lot in August. Sexy selfies, topless, in the bathtub. They began exchanging emails. What are you wearing? I'll rent us a room and we won't leave it. Most are so sexually charged, we can't repeat them on national television. Nicole wasn't the only crime victim Greer was involved with. After an investigation showing he had inappropriate relationships with 4 women, Greer resigned from the force. We contacted him for a comment, but he never returned our calls.
It makes me wonder if he had been focused on actually helping her and focused on keeping her safe and not focused on getting pictures of whatever, then maybe we'd be in a different place now.
But it was becoming more clear maybe no one could protect Nicole at this point. And she was clearly aware it could be only a matter of time until the animal attacked again. She texted her son, and this time it really was her texting him. "Stay inside," she said. "If Mike comes over, call 911. But the call Trey ended up making to 911 was one he never thought he'd have to make. Nicole Leger feared a man who lived 22 miles away.
He's gonna kill me. I fully believe he's gonna kill me.
A man on the loose with a criminal mind, a dark heart, and a violent temper.
Well,
Can you go pick him up?
Michael Adams, her ex-fiancé. Nicole and her son Trey worried Adams would track her down and kill her.
She looked at me and she said, "You know, Trey, he's gonna find us and he's gonna kill me."
Their worst fears were about to come true.
I had gone to school that morning. Before I left, you know, I gave her the good old, you know, love you, see you when I get back, kiss on the forehead.
That would be the final kiss. When Trey came back home, the smell of death was in the air.
Everything seemed out of place. Something didn't seem right. I go over to her bedroom door and I knock on it, you know. Wake up, I'm home, and you know, I didn't hear anything. So I peek under the door to see if I can see her, and I see her foot hanging off. And I think she's just asleep still, so I knock a little bit louder, you know. Wake up, I'm here. And the door was locked, so I couldn't open it. So I go into the kitchen, and I grab a ballpoint pen and take it apart. And I use the ink cartridge to kind of pick the lock. So at this point, I'm decently scared. And I finally shoulder it open, and she's laying on the bed. She had her underwear down on one ankle. She had her shirt lifted up over her chest. She had been shot in the head.
No son should have to see that.
No. So I run out to the front, close the front door behind me, and called 911.
What's the address of your emergency? My mom's dead. There's blood everywhere.
Nicole was shot twice in the face She died instantly.
Why? Why did he have to take her away?
Nicole's friend Holly Wheeler was at work when she got the phone call that Nicole had been shot to death.
I started crying, bawling, and we were all kind of pretty close at the office. We were, you know, so it kind of hit us all pretty hard.
But was it Adams or someone else?
You knew who did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Mike.
But Adams claimed he had an alibi. These images from a surveillance camera show him shopping at Home Depot around the time of the murder. And at the crime scene, cops found 2 used condoms from 2 different men. So who killed Nicole? It took nearly 6 months for cops to finally find their killer, Mike Adams, and another 3 for an indictment on a capital murder charge.
What took so long?
It takes a while for all that evidence to be collected and tested, and ultimately his DNA was found on an item at the scene.
That item, one of those used condoms. But Adams' DNA wasn't on the inside, it was on the outside.
How did he leave the DNA?
Well, his DNA was found at the crime scene, and it was epithelial or skin cell DNA. It was on a condom that was close to the top of the garbage in the master bath. It could be that he was washing her blood off of his hands and he picked up that item and put it in the trash, not thinking that he would actually leave behind DNA that could be, linked to him later.
Investigators believe Adams was so obsessed with cleanliness, he picked up the condoms and threw them in the bathroom trash. A move that got him arrested.
It was the furthest thing from his mind that he left DNA at the crime scene.
There was other damning evidence presented in the murder trial. At Adams' storage locker, cops found a virtual arsenal. Ballistics tests showed one of those guns fired the bullets that killed Nicole.
Describe to me what it was like seeing him in court.
Nerve-wracking.
How did you feel?
Terrified. I made eye contact with him briefly and never again.
Prosecutors said the motive was to prevent Nicole from testifying against him in the rape and kidnapping case. The first witness up was Detective Scott Greer, the man who sexted with Nicole while he was investigating her case. Adams' defense attorneys tried to poke holes in his testimony.
Were you afraid at that moment when his credibility was called into question that your case was in trouble?
No, there was so much other good corroborating evidence.
Evidence from the star witness, Nicole herself, a voice from the grave.
He's gonna kill me. I fully believe he's gonna kill me.
That was enough to convince the jury. After less than 2 hours, they returned with a verdict. Guilty of capital murder. The sentence, automatic life without the possibility of parole.
Why do you think Mike killed your mother?
He was rich and he was successful, and she was the first person that ever said no.
What do you want to see happen to Mike?
I've seen cases where prisoners will murder someone over that, kill them in their cell. I don't want that to happen to him. I want him to sit in prison for the rest of his life.
And now, this young man has to face the rest of his life without the mom who sacrificed everything, even her own life, for him.
Is there anything you do to honor your mom?
Spaghetti. Every year on her birthday, I always have just regular spaghetti with meat sauce and ground beef, just to kind of commemorate her.
When are the times that you miss her the most?
When I need advice.
You mean like when you need your mom?
Yeah.